know your record. If you are at the trial level, know your case. Know the state's file backwards and forwards, assuming they've given it to you. Know the law, all right? Did the law change? Has the law changed recently? The big thing we're dealing with now over there in criminal cases is the McNeely issued Fourth Amendment blood draw situation. We probably have, well, I personally, the panels that I've sat on since June, we have 6 pending McNeely cases just for those 2 panels. And that's essentially one panel out of 1 court over there has 6. So that means that, you know, all the other panels between the first and the fourth probably have just as many. So there's probably at least 18 McNeely issue cases pending. And of course, the CCA, Court of Criminal Appeals, has granted PDR on all of them that have issued so far. So the law can change. Be prepared to keep up with those changes in the law. Know your opponent. You know most of the Harris County prosecutors. Those of you that are going to do appellate work, or do appellate work, probably know most of the appeals lawyers of the DA. And practice. Okay? Practice your oral argument before you go to the Court of Appeals. In your oral arguments, narrow and frame the issues and signpost the structure of your argument. Factual introduction should be short. For each issue, identify the key authority, distinguish essential facts, make a policy argument, not a jury argument. You will not be able to whip the 3 judges on the panel at the Court of Appeals into an emotional frenzy the way you can that jury. It is not going to happen. We are not going to whip out our hankies and just start tearing up on it. It's not going to happen. Did you not read from your briefs, please? We read them. Theoretically. So do not just read from the briefs. If we wanted a dramatic reading, we would have our clerks do that. So don't do that. Again, make a policy argument, not a jury argument. Keep that in mind. Welcome questions. Because sometimes the judges over there will lob you softballs to help you out. Okay? And you ought to be able to anticipate what issues are going to draw questions. We've only got 15 minutes in front of us. That's not long at all. If you're asked a question, stop talking. Let me say that again. If you're asked a question, stop talking. Really important. Really, really important. Here's the other thing that a lot of people are afraid to do, but really helps them a lot. Know what you can concede. Your credibility will often go up if you say, you know, it's really not my strongest argument, I want to kind of come away. Because we appreciate that, one, because we realize, oh, we were right about that issue. And 2, it lets you concentrate on something that's more important, that might be a winner. All right? Have a conclusion ready. Have some conclusion ready. And also, with regard to your points of error at the Court of Appeals, try to keep them down in number. We had oral argument on a civil case last week. 22 points of error. 22. Wow, this is going to be fun. And then an oral argument, the lawyer said, well, my first part of the argument will address the first 12 issues. Really? Really? We love that. Great strategy. So, be respectful and conversational. Be confident and not arrogant. Do not attack opposing counsel as much as you want to. That's our job. Kidding. Do not attack the court or the legislation. All right? Sat through an oral argument a while back where I was just an observer for my panel, and there was some suggestion that perhaps one of the panel members who had authored an opinion on a different case that was related to the one on the bar had done so in an unethical manner. That didn't go over real well. You know, because that's one thing. Even if we disagree over there, we're very protective of our own. So that just didn't go over real well. That's not a great way to win friends and influence. All right. Visual aids. No. This is not a trial court. We have some audiovisual equipment over there. You can use the PowerPoint. You can use the overhead, the Elmo, whatever you want to call it. No. If you've got something you really want us to look at, give us a handout. Just give it to the bailiff. Don't give it to us. You can refer to it. But the way it's set up over there, this huge screen comes down behind you. So that kind of freaks us out. And then we're looking at it, not on the big screen behind us, because we're not doing this while you argue. We're looking at these little screens here, but we're looking down, as opposed to looking at you. All right? So it's very distracting, and it's just not a good thing. It's just not a particularly effective thing. Rebuttal. First of all, make sure you save some time for it. If you're having a lot. Because we are kind of mean when it comes to time. Unless you're in the middle of answering a question, you don't care what points you've covered, what points you haven't once you hit that 15-minute mark. Lisa's over there going, yeah. Because we got more cases to hear behind it. All right. So, a lot of times lawyers will say 4 or 5 minutes for rebuttal. Now, how do you know? Well, there's a big clock. So you can look at the clock and you'll know how much time you have left. Pay attention to that. The other thing is a practical tip. While that courtroom over there, both of them actually are just absolutely beautiful, the acoustics in there are awful. Because the acoustics in there are the same acoustics that were in there back in 1910 when it was built. So it's called the 1910 courthouse. All right? So there's a microphone there, and it works, but it doesn't work when you're this far away from it. It only works if you're this far away from it. So be mindful of that, because we have to hear you. The other thing you may not realize, every oral argument over there is video recorded, and we can access it from our desktop. You can't see it again, but we can. And the main reason we use it is to go back and make sure that our notes were correct. And the main reason I use it is to make sure that I wrote something down correctly when I heard it said. If you are trailing away from that microphone, it makes it very hard for me or anybody else over there to confirm what you said in oral argument. And it must have been something that was helping you, or I wouldn't have written it down. And I wouldn't want to be seeing it again. So please make sure that you speak up when you're having those oral arguments. With regard to rebuttal and conclusion, refocus on your strongest point. And yes, you should have a strongest point. You should always have a strongest point. Sometimes lawyers divide argument over there. No. Very disruptive. Very disruptive. And every time I've seen it happen over there, one lawyer cuts into another lawyer's time. And you all probably have seen it happen at the trial level, maybe, where two lawyers were split time in argument at trial. I was always incredibly paranoid doing that, because I was going to, 1, steal somebody else's thunder, or 2, leave them with no time. And I think that's more so true at the appellate level. Know when to quit. Know when to stop talking. All right? Know when to stop talking. And again, it's different than the trial level. But you're not going to whip us into a frenzy. All right, questions?
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
In terms of, you said you theoretically read the briefs. What is the practice in terms of when briefs are submitted and the justices, how they get to them, you read them? Do you rely on the clerk's notes, or do you actually read the briefs yourself?
I read it myself. I read everything. And the reason for that is because, 1, if it's a criminal case, it's something that's going to interest me almost all the time. And that's 45% of our work over there in criminal cases. And so I read those. I even read some of the ones that aren't assigned to me if somebody has told me about them, just because I'm the only criminal guy over there, so I'm curious as to how everybody else is going to deal with that issue. And then if it's a civil case, I read them as well. Now, the way we get the briefs, and this was interesting to me because I had no idea physically how all this worked. So you all have dealt with that, if you're appellate lawyers, have dealt with this thing called TAMES, which is this electronic filing system that is just a beast. and not particularly user-friendly, I'm told. But we can access everything on tape. We do not get hard copies of anything. So I can sit at my desk, and I can pull up the case file, our case file. I can pull up the clerk's record, I can pull up the reporter's record, I can pull up all the briefs. Now, I do confess, because it looks really bad if you highlight the screen with a Sharpie, that I print the briefs out. And on double-sided paper, the same paper, but still, I'm old school, I have to have them in front of me, and I write on it. But yeah, I read all the briefs. I'm reading one now for a civil case. It's wildly exciting. But now, in terms of what we do with the cases once they're assigned up, so let me explain to you a little bit how this works. We're divided into 3 panels. Panels last for 4 months at a time. So we have 3 different panels a year. And panels rotate. We've got A panel, B panel, C panel. A panel hears oral arguments on Tuesday. B panel hears oral arguments on Wednesday. C panel hears oral arguments on Thursday. Sometimes there can be a special setting where one of the panels will hear something on a different day. All right. So the cases that are set for oral argument, say we had cases set for oral argument this afternoon. Well, I would have the assigned case to me. I would have read the briefs. I would have made my notes. Then my staff attorney would also have read the briefs. We would huddle up as to where we think the case is headed. Then we will meet with the other judges and talk about what the issues are and what the issues we think will be during oral argument. We'll cut it up, talk about it, and then we'll have oral argument and we'll at the end and see if we have some idea of what we're headed. So that's how that works.
Have you ever had oral argument change your position on the case?
Yes. Yes, I have. And it was on a civil case. It was actually on one of the first civil cases I set up. But yes, absolutely. And then sometimes it will affirm it, and there are sometimes where it will give you your position, because sometimes you walk in there going, I don't know. And that actually happened on an out-of-county criminal case. So yes, it really can make a difference. Other questions? Yeah, Bob.
Yeah, Judge, if you have really more than one strong issue, you've only got 15 minutes. I would support you, a lawyer, saying, I'm here to address the questions you're most concerned with here. Rather than guessing at what you're most interested in.
I think that's fine. We had one lawyer who said, I don't really know why you've asked for oral argument in this case, but we have to answer any questions. That didn't go over real well. It's really kind of how you present it. But yeah, in that situation, if there are people in court and you want to know what's on our mind, I think it has to do with your presentation. There's different ways to do that.
When you have 2 questions asked by different judges in the middle of your answer letter, what do you think is the best way or diplomatic way to handle that situation?
Answer the senior judge first. I'm serious. I'm serious. That's the way to do it. The other thing that was a big shock to me over there, everything is done by seniority. So, you pick offices over there by seniority, you enter by seniority, you're seated by seniority, and I'm senior to one guy by 20 hours. So I'm almost as junior as it gets. So, it doesn't really matter to me, but I would do it by seniority. And so, senior person is always going to be in the middle. Okay? And so, junior person, most junior person is always going to be the first one that walks in. Okay? So that's what I do. And they'll be really impressed if you figure that out.
I don't know if it was public, but I was wondering, you said a handout. And it's not in the record, and it's not in the brief. What handout would you think would be effective?
What we have seen before are handouts that basically will be like bullet points for cases that apply and why. Something like that. And I'm not encouraging you to do that, but some people feel compelled to do that. And we don't like it. But of the things we don't like, that's probably the least offensive to us. Because it's the least intrusive. Anybody else? All right, well, if you get a chance, stop by. I'll give you a tour of the building. It's great. And stop by the clerk's office on 2, and they'll tell you whether I'm in or not. I'm always there, unfortunately. And I'll come find you, and I'll give you a tour of the building, and it'll be worth your 10 minutes over there, because it really is like walking back in town. Thank you all very much.
take a little stretch, you can go about 5 minutes or so.